Captain Sarah Mitchell stood at baggage claim in Denver International Airport, her military uniform crisp despite the long flight from overseas. After 18 months deployed in the Middle East, she was finally home. Her hands trembled slightly as she pulled her duffel bag from the carousel, not from fear. Sarah had faced gunfire and explosions without flinching, but coming home, that was different. She scanned the crowd, looking for her daughter's face. 8-year-old Emma should be here with Sarah's mother. They'd planned this reunion for weeks. Sarah's heart raced with anticipation. She hadn't seen Emma since her daughter's 7th birthday. A group of men in business suits pushed past Sarah, one of them bumping her shoulder hard. "Excuse me," she said firmly. The man turned, looked at her uniform and smirked. "Maybe if you weren't blocking the whole walkway, sweetheart," he said. His friends laughed. Sarah felt her jaw tighten but said nothing. She'd dealt with men like this before. After 12 years in the army, she'd learned to pick her battles. She moved toward the main terminal, pulling out her phone. 3 missed calls from her mother. That was strange. Sarah dialed back immediately. "Sarah, thank God," her mother's voice came through, shaking and tearful. "It's Emma, she's missing." The world seemed to stop. "What do you mean, missing?" "We were here at the airport. I turned my head for just a second at the coffee stand, and when I looked back, she was gone. The police are here. They're searching, but—" Her mother's voice broke into sobs. Sarah's military training kicked in instantly. "Where exactly are you, Mom?" "Terminal West, near Gate 24. "I'm coming now, don't move." Sarah started running, her duffel bag forgotten on the floor behind her. People stared as she sprinted through the terminal, but she didn't care. Her daughter was missing. Nothing else mattered. She found her mother surrounded by 2 airport security officers, crying into her hands. Sarah approached quickly, showing her military ID. "I'm Captain Mitchell. This is my daughter we're looking for. What's being done?" One of the security officers, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, spoke gently. "We've locked down the terminal exits and we're reviewing security footage. Can you describe what she was wearing?" Sarah's mother answered, her voice breaking. "Pink jacket, blue jeans, white sneakers. She had her hair in 2 braids. She's only 8 years old." Sarah felt panic rising in her chest but forced it down. She'd led soldiers through combat. She could handle this. She had to. "How long has she been missing?" Sarah asked. "About 20 minutes, the male security officer said. He looked uncomfortable, avoiding Sarah's eyes. 20 minutes. In an airport this size, a child could be anywhere, or worse, already outside. Have you checked all the bathrooms? The shops? Kids sometimes wander off," Sarah said, trying to sound calm. "We're doing a systematic search now, ma'am," the female officer said. "But with your military background, maybe you could help coordinate." "Actually," the male officer interrupted, "we have protocols for this. Maybe it's best if you wait here with your mother." Sarah stared at him. "My daughter is missing and you want me to wait?" "I understand you're upset, but we're trained for." "I'm a military officer with search and rescue experience," Sarah said, her voice hard as steel. "I'm not waiting anywhere." Before the officer could respond, a commotion erupted near the main entrance. People were shouting, pointing. Sarah turned to see something that made her heart stop. Dogs, not just any dogs. 20 German Shepherds and Belgian Malinois were entering the terminal in perfect formation, each wearing tactical vests. Behind them walked handlers in Navy uniforms. "What's happening?" Sarah's mother gasped. Sarah recognized the vests immediately. These were military working dogs, Navy SEAL dogs if she had to guess. But what were they doing here? A tall man with graying hair and a commander's insignia approached the security desk. "I'm Commander James Rodriguez. We received word a child is missing. We're here to help." The security officers looked stunned. "Sir, we didn't request military assistance." "You didn't need to," Rodriguez said. His eyes found Sarah's uniform, then her face. "Captain Mitchell." Sarah nodded, confused. "Do I know you, sir?" "No, but I know you. I served with someone who spoke very highly of you. That's why we're here." He turned to his handlers. "Deploy the dogs. We're looking for an 8-year-old girl, pink jacket, last seen in this area 20 minutes ago." The handlers moved with military precision, each taking their dog to different sections of the terminal. Sarah watched in amazement as the dogs began their search, noses to the ground. "Sir, I don't understand," Sarah said. "Who sent you?" Rodriguez smiled slightly. "All in good time, Captain. Right now, let's find your daughter." The dogs worked quickly, systematically covering every inch of the terminal. Sarah followed one team, her heart pounding. Minutes felt like hours. Then from across the terminal a handler shouted, "Commander, we've got something." Everyone rushed toward the sound. One of the dogs, a large German shepherd, sat alertly outside a maintenance door, his tail wagging. The door was marked "Authorized Personnel Only." Sarah's heart leaped into her throat. The handler opened the door carefully. Inside, huddled behind some cleaning equipment, sat Emma. Her pink jacket was dirty, her face streaked with tears, but she was alive. "Mommy!" Emma screamed, running forward. Sarah dropped to her knees and caught her daughter in her arms, holding her so tightly she thought she might never let go. Tears poured down her face as she buried her nose in Emma's hair. "Baby, what happened? Why were you in there?" Emma was sobbing too hard to answer clearly. Sarah looked up at Commander Rodriguez, who stood watching with a gentle expression. "Thank you," Sarah whispered. "Thank you so much." But even as she held her daughter, Sarah noticed something strange. Emma kept looking at one of the dogs, the German shepherd who'd found her, and the dog was staring back with intelligent eyes that seemed almost familiar. Sarah held Emma close as paramedics checked her daughter over. The little girl was dehydrated and scared, but physically unharmed. Through her tears, Emma finally explained what had happened. "I saw a puppy," she said, her voice small. "Outside the window in the parking area. I just wanted to pet it. I went through a door I thought went outside, but it led to those maintenance halls. I got lost and scared, so I hid." Sarah's mother was crying with relief. "I'm so sorry, Sarah. I should have been watching her more carefully." "It's not your fault, Mom," Sarah said, though her hands still shook from the fear. She looked up at Commander Rodriguez, who stood nearby with his team. "Sir, I need to understand. How did you know to come here? How did you know about Emma?" Rodriguez gestured to the German shepherd who'd found Emma. The dog sat calmly beside his handler, a young Navy petty officer with kind eyes. "Captain Mitchell, meet Max," or, as he was known during his service, K9 Officer Max, military working dog, serial number 4729. Sarah's breath caught. She looked at the dog more carefully. Those eyes, that small scar above his left ear. "No," she whispered, "it can't be." "You remember him then," Rodriguez said softly. Sarah's mind flashed back 3 years. Afghanistan, a mission that went wrong, an explosion that killed 3 of her soldiers. Sarah had been injured, trapped under debris with enemy fighters closing in. And then, out of nowhere, a military dog had appeared. He'd stood guard over her, fighting off attackers until help arrived. She'd lost consciousness before she could thank him properly. Later, she'd learned the dog had been severely injured in the fight and was being retired from service. "I tried to find him," Sarah said, her voice breaking. "After I recovered, I wanted to adopt him, but they said he'd already been placed." "He was," Rodriguez said, "with me. Max saved my son's life in Iraq 2 years before he saved yours. When he was retired, I made sure he came home with me." He paused. "I've been following your career, Captain. Max's handler during your rescue sent me reports. You led your team with exceptional courage that day, even while injured. You got everyone out alive." Sarah shook her head. "Max is the one who saved us. And today he saved your daughter." Rodriguez knelt beside the dog, stroking his head. "Max is retired now, but he still trains our new military working dogs. When I heard about the missing child and saw the name Mitchell on the police report, I had to check. When I confirmed it was you, I brought the whole team. These dogs are being certified for search and rescue. This was their final test. Sarah looked at the 20 dogs, all sitting calmly with their handlers. They all passed, she said. With flying colors, Rodriguez stood. But Max insisted on being the one to find Emma. I think he knew. Emma, who had been listening quietly, looked at Max with wide eyes. He saved Mommy. He did, Sarah said, kneeling beside her daughter. And today he saved you too. Emma reached out slowly, and Max moved forward, gently licking her hand. Emma giggled through her tears and threw her arms around the dog's neck. One of the security officers, the male one who dismissed Sarah earlier, approached awkwardly. Captain Mitchell, I owe you an apology. I shouldn't have tried to keep you from helping. Your experience could have been valuable. Sarah looked at him steadily. I've spent 12 years proving myself in the military. I've led missions, saved lives, and served my country. But the hardest thing I've ever done is be away from my daughter. She pulled Emma closer. Don't assume you know what someone is capable of based on how they look or what makes them emotional. Sometimes the strongest people are the ones fighting the hardest battles. The officer nodded, looking genuinely ashamed. You're right, I'm sorry. Commander Rodriguez cleared his throat. Captain, I have a question for you. Your service record shows you're considering retirement. Have you made a decision? Sarah looked at Emma, then at her mother, then back at Rodriguez. I was planning to retire, yes. Emma needs me home. What if I told you there's a position available, training military working dogs and their handlers at the naval base in Colorado Springs? It's only an hour from Denver. You'd be home every night. Sarah's heart skipped. Sir, I'm Army, not Navy. I'm aware, but this is a joint service program. We need someone with your combat experience and leadership skills. Someone who understands what these dogs mean to the soldiers they serve with. He paused. Someone Max would approve of. As if on cue, Max left Emma's side and walked to Sarah, sitting directly in front of her. He placed one paw on her knee and looked up at her with those intelligent eyes. Sarah laughed, wiping away tears. Are you offering me a job, boy? Max barked once sharply. Everyone laughed. Emma tugged on Sarah's sleeve. Mommy, can we see Max if you take the job? Rodriguez smiled. Actually, I have another proposal. Max is getting older. He's earned his retirement. He needs a good home with people who understand him, people he's already saved. He looked at Sarah meaningfully. Would you consider adopting him? Sarah couldn't speak. She looked at Max, at Emma's hopeful face, at her mother who was smiling through happy tears. Yes, she finally whispered. Yes to all of it. The terminal erupted in applause. Sarah hadn't noticed the crowd that had gathered, watching the reunion. People were crying, clapping, taking photos. But Sarah only had eyes for her daughter, and the dog who'd saved them both. As they prepared to leave, the female security officer approached. Captain, I wanted you to know. We reviewed the security footage. Several people walked right past that maintenance door while Emma was in there. Somehow, Max knew exactly where to go. It's almost like he sensed her. Sarah stroked Max's head. He saved a lot of lives. He knows what it means to protect family. That night in her mother's home, Sarah sat on the couch with Emma curled up beside her and Max lying at their feet. Emma was already asleep, exhausted from the day's events. Sarah's phone buzzed. A text from Commander Rodriguez. Your paperwork is being processed. Welcome to the team, Captain. Max always had good judgment about people. See you Monday. Sarah smiled. She'd spent years being underestimated, dismissed, and having to prove herself over and over. But today, when it mattered most, she'd been seen for who she truly was. A soldier, a mother, a survivor. And thanks to a loyal dog who'd never forgotten her, she was home. Finally, truly home. Max lifted his head and looked at her, his tail wagging slowly. Sarah reached down and scratched behind his ears. "Thank you, boy," she whispered, "for everything." Max's tail wagged faster, and in his eyes, Sarah saw understanding. Some bonds, she realized, transcended words. Some heroes came on four legs, and some miracles happened exactly when you needed them most. Outside, the Colorado sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Inside, a family was whole again, and 20 Navy SEAL dogs had proven once more that courage comes in all forms, and heroes are often found in the most unexpected places.